Our first exercise in this chapter will involve the switch statement. What I'd like to do is rewrite an if-else statement as a switch statement, and we have the perfect candidate in our calculator class that we just worked with in the last lesson. The calc function takes two parameters, the two operands, and a char operator, and then determines which arithmetic function to perform based on the value of the operator. We write that as an if-else-if in the original version of the function, but it will look better as a switch statement. So let's rewrite it now and then rerun the calculator using that code. So the first thing I'm going to do is comment out the if-else-if that we used before. Move down past that code. So we begin a switch statement with the keyword switch, followed by the expression that we're going to test, which in this case is the operator, which is called op. So then we have our case statements. First thing we'll do is say case it's a plus. 1 op 2. We could put break here, but as I mentioned earlier, it really is redundant to have that because the return will have you leave this part of the case statement anyway and go back to the main calling program. So let's just leave it out. I think I've got too much. There we go. So we'll leave the break out because it's not really needed. Then we'll write the case clause for the minus sign. Return sub op1, op2, and then case multiplication sign, return mult, op1, op2, case division, return div op1, op2. Now the last thing we have to decide to do is what happens if the operator is none of those. We kind of ignored that in our other version of calc, but it might not be a bad idea to put some sort of message on the display to let the user know that they didn't put the right operator. So we might just do a cout bad operator, or let's write it like this. Operator not recognized. And let's do an indel after that. Close off the switch. Make sure we have the whole function closed, which we do. So let's build and run the program. So we'll write a couple of expressions. We'll do another. Let's do another one. Let's do one more. And then let's do one where there's a bad operator. NaN means not a number, and that's returned when you try to perform an operation like this using an invalid operator. We could have just used that as an error message, but I like the operator not recognized to let the user know that they need to enter a legitimate operator, so we might say 23 times 3. And then we'll stop. Let me scroll the screen up so we can take a look at the difference. Notice how much cleaner the switch statement looks than the if-else-if, even for something as simple as this. Again, you can't use a switch statement in every circumstance, since the expression that we switch on has to be an integral value, either integer or char. But when that is the case, the switch statement is almost always a cleaner solution than a series of if-else-if statements. In the next video, we'll do an exercise with do-while loops.